Hello everybody, it's me Ross and welcome to another video. I'm joined today by Ben and David as we take a look at Paul Cook's first press conference as town manager. I want to get Ben and David's first takeaway, their first thoughts, what they learnt for his first presser. Not a takeaway like pizza or Chinese or Indian, their first take on what he said to the press. I want to go over to David first to the first thing you learned from it. He seems excited, and it seems like it's going to be an exciting ride under Paul Cook. Your first takeaway, my friend.
The two big ones. I'm not a huge fan of press conferences, particularly because it's it's all about platitudes so much. However, I was impressed, and I liked the aiming for the stars thing. I can't be doing it when people say, "Oh, let's hope for sixth place. Let's sort of aim for fourth from bottom," or whatever it is. If you need to aim for the top. If you're not aiming for first, if you aim for first and you come third, okay, that's fine. If you're aiming for sixth and come seventh, you've screwed the whole thing up. And I've hated the whole thing for years, where we've been hoping vaguely that in a good season we'll get sixth or something. Wrong aim. Aim for the top. Absolutely, every team should be doing it. So I was really, really pleased with that. And that sort of ties in with what he was saying in his little interview with the club as well, you know, sort of about pressure. And the pressure comes, there shouldn't be pressure, it should be a pleasure. But we've heard too often that there's too much pressure playing for such a big club. And he was saying, you know, about the pressure and the aiming high. That in itself is a breath of fresh air, isn't it? It should be enjoyable playing football.
Well said there, David. And over to you then, Ben, your first takeaway in Paul Cook's first presser then.
Yeah, just following on really, David sort of brought me in nicely there, just talking about how you should be excited to play football. And that was my main takeaway from his press conference today, was the fact that he just, this enthusiasm that he obviously has for the game. You know, his previous jobs, you see him on the touchline. I can relate more to a manager who is a bit more exuberant with his actions, and he's out there cajoling the players on throughout 90 minutes and kicking every ball. You know, he was there Tuesday night shouting out instructions. I think as the game wore on, obviously, probably as everyone saw, we didn't perform very well second half, and he was shouting more and more and more, trying to get more out of his players. And he was just stressing that it's important that you enjoy your football. To get the best results on the pitch, you've got to enjoy it, and you've got to be enthusiastic about what you do. And that's the same for anybody in any walk of life, any job. So if he can get the players to enjoy their football, and you know, that means they run the extra yard, they make that extra pass, they relax in front of goal, then I think that's great for obviously the team and the whole football club and all of us fans. You know, I was refreshed to see how enthusiastic he was about being manager of our club, about getting hold of this group of players, which no doubt, you know, none of us doubt the talent that there is there, and hope we can build on from these 3 wins. You know, a lot of managers, as he said, come in after sort of 3 defeats, you know, or certainly doing badly. We do seem like we're on a little bit of a run here, so he's got that to his advantage. So yeah, I'm excited through his excitement, and you know, he seems like a bit of a joker. He likes to laugh. He's got Gary Roberts involved as well, who apparently is a bit of a joker. So if we can build that camaraderie in the squad, the large squad that it is, then it's only going to be exciting for Ipswich fans. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. And then over to you then, Dave, your second takeaway. One of my main takeaways is the pictures that I've seen so far. He's got the whitest teeth ever. Has anybody else noticed that? He's got really white teeth. So of course he's probably paid, you know, a dentist or something to really clean his teeth, or he has white, you know, teeth whitening, but they're very white.
Are they up there with what's that, Bishop, the comedian? He's got very white teeth, hasn't he?
Yeah. But yeah, you're I'm sure that isn't your other takeaway, but that's mine. What am I? Yeah.
That didn't come through in the text update from Andy Warren, unfortunately. You'll have to have a word with him about teeth updates in future. My other thing actually concerns fans, and it's a slight niggle in the back of my mind, and I don't want to drag everybody down at this sort of moment of euphoria, but his comment about, he was asked about fans, and you know, normally managers turn around and say, oh yeah, the 12th man, they can suck a goal in, and all of those sort of things. And he said that while fans think they're the 12th man, they can be the 10th man, and the negativity can actually drag things down. And it just concerns me. It's just a little niggle in the back of my mind that I mean, undoubtedly he's going to be aware of the atmosphere surrounding the club over the last few months, but that would be the case pretty much for any new manager coming in to any club, because you'd normally be in the foot of the table, wouldn't you? You'd normally be struggling, and so the managers sort of had a hard time and then they've moved on. Where we are, it sort of goes along several things. You know, Lambert's had a fractious relationship over the last little time, since the Lincoln game last season, really. And this season, you've had all that whole cupping your hand to your ear if you score a goal nonsense. And I entirely approve of the crazy gang Wimbledon thing of us against them, but that's us as a club, including the fans, against the other side. The whole Millwall, no one likes us, we don't care. What Alex Ferguson tried to do several times at Manchester United, that's all good, that sort of togetherness. It concerns me that there's something within the club which sees fans as a problem, and we heard that several times earlier in the season about it might be easier to play at Portman Road without fans there. And that just troubles me slightly, that's already raised its head, possibly. I mean, I don't think it will be a problem. Certainly to start with, if we're heading for playoffs and things like that, I think he gets a honeymoon, obviously. I think he's going to be a breath of fresh air above and beyond Lambert, because he's not dour. He's got that enthusiasm. He obviously loves the game and conveys that, like Ben said. But that's just a little niggle in the back of my mind that he's aware of this distance between the club and the fans. And that just, without wishing to be negative, is just a concern.
Well, fair enough. Ben, the press conference, normally when a new manager comes in, it's a circus in terms of media and, photographers. They go to Portman Road, it gets filmed, sometimes live, and you've got a whole room of journalists asking the new manager questions. Of course, in the current state of affairs we're in, with the lockdowns, it's all over Zoom nowadays. So it was definitely different for maybe fans to see what was said. But your final takeaway from his first press conference?
I think it's really easy to forget, that we are quite a big fish in a relatively small pond in terms of clubs historically in League One. No disrespect to all of the clubs that people do see Ipswich as a bigger club in this league. And, with all the Premier League clubs and all the media coverage and Sky and BT, I think that sometimes I can sometimes get lost in it, that we can be little Ipswich and, nobody really thinks of us. And I think it was refreshing to hear that Paul Cook had rejected other offers in the higher leagues. We're seen as a project, it's sort of a long-term vision, which is really encouraging to hear. He's obviously waited for the right fit. He's not stupid. He knows what he wants. He set out coming out giving players a clean slate. Jackson and Nolan will be back involved, and it will be really interesting as fans seeing how we evolve over the last 16 games of the season. I think tactically we'll probably stay around the same formation wise, but I expect to see maybe a higher press. Maybe a little bit more energy in our play throughout 90 minutes. Perhaps we'll be a little bit fitter if you can work on that. But yeah, those are the sort of things that I'm looking in his management really excited to see. And talk about clean slates. There's a clean slate for us fans as well. Talking about David's point, he's made a good one. There is obviously little rumblings around the fan base. Rightly or wrongly, that's where we're at. So a clean slate for everybody. New manager, let's get behind him. I'm sure we all will. Obviously from home. But we look forward to getting back in the ground, cheering Paul Cook. And who knows, if it all goes well, we could be back in the Championship when we're back in the ground, which would be absolutely phenomenal. And it would mean, we've got a good end to the season.
Definitely. And we're going to end this video quickly getting your, both your final takes on Paul Cook being appointed. There's videos, there's podcasts out there who have discussed the appointment like crazy. But just to get your quick point now, David and Ben, Paul Cook, the fourth Paul under Marcus Evans. He loves his Pauls. The name Paul is a thing. But David, your final take on the appointment of Paul Cook?
3 years too late. Basically, we've been fanning around for too long with other things. He was my sort of joint first. Not quite first. My first choice when Paul Hurst was appointed was Danny Cowley. My first choice now was Danny Cowley. I've been arguing on the pod and everywhere else that Danny Cowley should have been appointed. But very, very close behind, a fraction I mean, it's literally sort of there and there. So I'm delighted with it. I think that he besides the enthusiasm and stuff, I think that the style of football is that way of just getting the ball forward quickly. You know, it is controlled. It's not John Beck thump it forward. It's getting it forward with that aggression and with purpose. So I'm very pleased with it, and he's got a good track record, not a track record that's 10 years ago, which is, you know, the Paul Jewell thing. Not a track record of getting promoted but then alienating everybody, which is the Roy Keane thing. So I'm pleased with it. I would have preferred Danny Kelly, but only by a fraction of a sort of centimetre on that one. So I'm really pleased. I'm enthused. I think that I'm looking up now. I'm looking up and thinking, yeah, if we win that game in hand, that's maybe 7 points off automatic. Lincoln and Hull are in sort of iffy form. There's no reason why second isn't a realistic target now. You know, and we play most of those teams above us still. So bring it on.
All right, we'll wait and see. And Ben, to finish off, you know, Marcus Evans, he's appointed different managers who have had different track records before. Would you say this is maybe one of our Marcus Evans' best appointments yet with Paul Cook?
I think so, yeah. I mean, the previous managerial appointments under Evans probably had maybe 1-2 good seasons. But, you know, each manager has sort of had success with different clubs now and again. You know, they've sort of hit and miss, whereas I think wherever Paul Cook's been, you know, he obviously had great success with Sligo in Ireland. He's had Chesterfield promoted. He had Portsmouth promoted. He had Wigan promoted under, you know, extremely difficult conditions then in the Championship, and surviving, obviously, without the points deduction that they then got for going to administration. With all of that, we couldn't have got, I don't think, you know, obviously, along with the Cowleys, like David said, you can't get any better. There's no way we could have got any better than Paul Cook, you know. So yeah, we're rightly enthusiastic. We've got the best man. I believe the best man for the job. He was top of my list personally. And I said I hope that enthusiasm resonates with the fans and we all get behind him. And yeah, really looking forward to it. If we get second place, I still think that'll be a phenomenal achievement, just because of how bad we've been up until 3 games ago. You know, to even think about second place would have been a complete dream. So look, it's there, it's possible. You know, let's aim for it. But I think realistically, let's get in the playoffs and go up. But yeah, aim for the stars. We'll finish.
I was going to say aim for the stars. I think that second is unlikely, but I'm an innate optimist. And aim for the stars, and you've got that bounce, you've got those things coming in, and there's absolutely no reason why, with a following wind, you can't do it. Aim for the stars.
And that's the way to end it then. And of course, Ben, David, thank you very much for joining me. Everyone who's watching this video, let us know, comment down below your first takeaways from Paul Cook's first press conference. And I'm having a takeaway tonight because it's got me feeling hungry. So I'm going to have a nice Chinese, have a takeaway. You guys going to have one?
Yeah, why not?
Good takeaway tomorrow night.
All right, fair enough, Friday night takeaway. But yeah, anyways, I've been Ross. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back for another video very soon. Bye-bye.